We're looking at some more triads this week, and I'm going to give you my tips for effectively using them when playing over a 1-4-5 progression. These are what we call the primary chords, and in a major key, the 1-4-5 will all be major chords or major triads. We're going to work with the key of G major today, so the 1 chord will then be a G major, the 4 chord will then be G, A, B, C, a C, and the 5 chord is a D. So G, C, and D major are the 1-4-5. We're going to work today on string set 2. That's the name I give strings 2, 3, and 4. Those are adjacent strings, and we'll firstly just review the different triad shapes you're going to need to know. Starting with the G chord then, we're going to have the G on the 5th fret of string number 4. And the chord is formed in this diagonal shape, just right there. So that is my G chord, G triad in a root position, because the root note G is the lowest note in pitch. It's the highest as you look down, it's closest to the ceiling, but it's the lowest in sound, in pitch. Okay, so that's my G triad. I think of that as coming from the E-shaped bar chord. It's right in there. And so the root position, root is the lowest note, 3, 5 is the order. You need to be really solid on the intervals as we do this. This is going to really help as we move into the progression. So root position. The next shape up then will have the 3rd as the lowest note. So what we can do is move on up to this next chord tone, the 3rd on string 4 by going root, 2, 3. Okay, there's my 3rd. The 3rd on string 3, I walk up half step to the 4th, whole step to the 5. And then from the 5th on string 2, 6, 7, 1. So there is my shape right there. That's a G chord once again, but we have 3, 5, root. So the root is the highest in pitch, the lowest. It's closest to the floor. And this shape is firmly within the C shape under the cage system. So this is a G over B, G/B, or a G triad in a first inversion. We can walk up once again to the next chord tone on each string to get the second inversion. So the 3rd here, half step to the 4, whole step to the 5, from the 5, 6, 7, 1, and from the 1, 2, 3. All under that one finger, that is a G chord in a second inversion, or G over D, G/D. And that is also the open strings. They are also a second inversion G major triad. So that's the 3 shapes: G, G over B, G over D. Those 3 triad shapes then clearly define 3 areas of activity on the fretboard, and the exercise for today will be to work within each of those 3 and to be able to find the 1, the 4, and the 5 in each of those 3 different areas. Now as you do that, then you're going to be using a different shape for each of the 3 chords. So what's the easiest way to source the 4 and the 5? Well, we'll start with the 5 chord first of all. Why? Well, because the root of the 5 is in the shape of the 1 chord. If you consider how we build the 1 chord, we take the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th notes of the G major scale, and then you have the chord. So the 5th of the 1 is essentially the root of the 5. So this is the value of knowing the intervals with the triad shapes, because if you can source the 5 within this 1 chord, then you have the root of the 5 chord. This is 1, then here is the root of the 5. So with it being the highest in pitch, nearest to the floor, we have a first inversion within that C shape. So 1 chord, 5 chord, 1, 5. I consider this note, this D note, as like a pivot, an anchor point to change chord. 1 chord, 5 chord. As we move up to the first inversion of the 1 chord, where's the 5th? 3, 5. It's in the middle. The shape when the root was in the middle was the flattened finger. which I didn't mention before, I think of that as either within the A shape or the G shape. It's like a linking form between those two caged shapes. But there's the 5, that's the 1, then there's the 5. In that way, it's useful as you play this shape to actually have the bar finger in position, because you'll often come to play between those two chord shapes. So as you play the 1, do so with the bar finger, and then you can lift off fingers 2 and 3, and then you've got the 5 chord. Up here then, if this is the 1, whereas the 5th, or it's the lowest note in pitch, it's on string number 4. So that would then give us a root position of the 5 chord. So 1, 5, 1. Just a review of that then. 1 chord, 5 chord, 1. 1, 5, 1. 1, 5, 1. And then what about the 4 chord, where you've got 2 possibilities for sourcing the root note? The first thing is, again, considering how we built the 1 chord, 1, 3, 5, the 3. 3 to 4 is a half step in the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the root note of the 4 chord will be a fret above the 3rd of your 1 chord. So there's the 3rd, raise it up, that's the root of the 4. So it's going to be the bar finger shape. 1, 4, 1. We go to the next shape up, there's the 3, raise it up, and that's the 4 chord. 1, 4, 1. Up here, the 3 is the highest note. 1, 4, 1. Again, the benefit of that bar finger. 1 chord, 4 chord, 1. You may also have noticed that there is a common note between the 1 chord and the 4. It's a little less obvious, but the 4 chord is built from the 4th, 6th, and 8th note of the major scale. That 8th is the same as the 1, okay? So the root of the 1 chord will also be the 5th of the 4 chord. So the 1 chord, there's the root, that's going to be the 5th of the 4 chord. Here, the 1 chord is on the top, that's going to be the 5th, root 3, 5 of the 4 chord. Or here, the root is right in the middle, that's going to be 3, 5 root of the 4 chord. 1, 4, 1. So we're going to bring that all together, working with a backing track that I've created for this lesson. And what I would suggest that you do is to firstly work with one area of the fretboard and make sure you're confident with sourcing the 1, 4, 1, 5. That's the progression. It's going to be a 1, 4, 1, 5. So 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. And you can say it out loud if that helps you to really get these ideas solid. That's the 1 chord, that's the 4, that's the 1, that's the 5. As you've got one area nailed, then you can move up to the next one. 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 5, and then move up to the next one. 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. Just making sure you're nice and solid with that. As you get confident with one particular area, then you can start to jump around. And if you say 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 5, that kind of thing. All right, let's crank it up. Here we go. All right. It's a 1 chord to a 4. Back to the 1, to the 5, okay? First position, so we've got 4, 1, to the 5. One more time there. To the 5, Next position. And back to the 1. And then we go to position 3, and if you did enjoy the lesson, please don't forget a thumbs up and do subscribe if this is your first time here, remembering as you do so to hit that bell icon not to miss any future lessons. The backing track and tabs for the lesson will be available to all members of my Patreon group. You can help support the channel and get exclusive bonuses for as little as $3 per month. You can find out more about that with the link in the cards or down below. Guitar Blueprint is my comprehensive guide to fretboard fluency. You can find out more about that at my online store with the link down below or in the cards. And if you go and check it out, be sure to grab your free copy of Fretboard Mastery, my guide to learning the notes of the fretboard in just a few days. Thank you very much, you practice well, and I'll see you again soon.